Welcome, everyone. We are playing with an intro for the gift process. What I am doing is going to introduce the gift process in a general way and talk about the three different phases. We are starting a new series, so most of you are interested in that series. I'll talk more about specifically the uniqueness of this series. And then we'll go into a little mini dive, and that's where we can go into the experiential practice of the gift process. And then after that, we'll have time for Q&A. This is just an intro. And then, if you have more questions, you can contact my office. The actual gift process info is at giftprocess.com. And that will also lead you to my regular website. So giftprocess.com is what we got going on. So the first thing that I want to point out, as I said, I'm not selling anything here. The idea is for us to get together and feel each other's nervous systems and feel if this work resonates for you. And I do that because we're starting a 3-month program, and it's a weekly process. It's a weekly practice. We'll have morning sessions and night sessions. So what I really want to do is just have an opportunity for all of us to meet. And when people register, I often have them watch these intros. So the first thing is, what is the gift? What is the gift? What do I mean by gift? And what is the gift process? So one of the things that I try not to do is define specifically what the gift is for you. The idea is to enter the process so that the process can inform you of what your gift is. So, but what I will say is that the gift comes through development. In other words, this work that we're playing with is developmental work. And what I believe is that all life has a gift. I've been working very closely and deeply, profoundly deeply, and maybe shallowly with a lot of people for the last 25 years with their gift and with their nature. And my work came from Continuum, working with complex neurological disorders and advanced trauma and immunological disorders. I've been through my own journey. But what I found was that in working with each person, especially with people who were like stuck in bed or really, really sick, that we could continue to stimulate them. But unless there was an activation of their own being, their own true essence and their nature, unless there was that activation of why they are alive and what inspires them, that nothing would stick neurologically. There wouldn't be development. You go back the next day and it'd be the same place, or sometimes even further back. So immediately, I mean, my own journey with my gift process started when I was 25. So, and it came out of my own depression and my own just feeling totally horrible and lost in my life. And so, what I discovered in myself and in working with others is that all life has a gift, and that if we're living in culture, we may not be able to recognize it. But as soon as we place ourselves in the intelligence of nature, in that universal intelligence, we can see that all life is interacting and sharing and co-creating together through what I would refer to as our innate gifts. And so very much, I use this metaphor of the tree a lot, the fruit tree, also the flowers. But you can see it really in every relationship and every life form in nature, that the ecosystem calls us into being, and through our development calls us into a form, and those forms become our contribution to the ecosystem. And when we bear fruit, or we actually go through the developmental process of owning, first discovering, and then from there really fully owning our innate gift, which I believe lives in not just our spirit, but also in our genetic codes. And I believe that in my experience, our gift is this incredible innovation that is living within us that happens through our relationship with our environment and each other. And I have been on this incredible journey of being with so many different people and seeing that process happen. So over the years, I started to name the gift process as a conscious process. The process itself happens through a daily inquiry. And in our series that we're working with, this series specifically will be very much about the inquiry, creating the dialogue with our gift, that daily listening to. So this whole thing of the process, how it is that we start to dialogue and engage and also nourish from our gift. That's the practice and the process. And that's the daily practice and process that I've been in every day and for over 25 years. And oftentimes when I meet people and I work with them and they ask, why is it? And by the way, I'm not selling anything here or trying to sell myself. I'm just trying to share some wisdom that I've learned. The difference that people will be like, what is it that's different about you? Or why is it that you are where you are? And it's very much because I have a daily practice. And the reason why I do is because it's the trough. It's where all of my nourishment, my inner nourishment comes from. It's also where my intelligence, like how it is that I live out my day from an intuitive, deep, connected place. And so with the gift process, that's the main invitation. And the inquiries that we work with are very much about setting up the right context, creating the sacred space for there to be room for your gift and your process in your life. So those are some of the first layers. The process itself has 3 phases. And again, these are developmental phases. They're not marks that we hit. We don't, they're a continuous stream. And what I found is that they involute and recycle. And sometimes you have different layers of your process. So those 3 phases, the first one is to discover. This is the discovery phase. Oh, I have a gift. Wow. Most of us, when we actually acknowledge that we have a gift and start receiving it, we realize that we've been utilizing and resourcing our gift, our greatest strength, our deepest intelligence throughout our lives off and on. Some of us actually feel at the effect of our gift. This is something that we work with quite a bit. Some of us feel at the effect of our gift because of the magnetism that it has. That's how it was for me. Some of us feel invisible. There's a lot of different layers, but the issue is that in this first phase, the discovery and receiving of our gift, we're able to work with all of these issues and find a balance where our gift is centered within ourselves. I'll say more about that in a minute. And then I'll turn this over to you to ask questions once I get through these phases. The second phase is what I refer to as the nourishment phase. This is what's missing in our culture. And I have never seen it exist anywhere in any of our culture. And this is the second phase, the middle phase, where you actually don't just take ownership of your gift, you formulate it in a way that is feeding you first. We work with this in phase 1, but where you're actually so in the ownership, the knowing of what you're holding, that it becomes magnetic. And rather than seeking and trying that magnetism, again, we see this in nature, where the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees and the butterflies and all the different animals, they are all drawn to each other and the right environments. So that magnetism, it operates through a very functional law of resonance. And when we're in this second phase, our gift involutes in ways that works with that magnetism. But not only that, it becomes where we're so clear about what we're holding, the form of our gift can start to develop more. And then from there, it becomes shareable. So like I've used this metaphor many times, we start to bear fruit. I want to speak more about this receiving phase, because the difference in this phase and in all of the work that I've offered with the gift process before, the difference in this series is that we're spending 3 months on it, and we're going into really picking the locks of our cultural conditioning around the form of our gift, and that our gift being a thing. So the reason why most of us feel disconnected, that I found, and I want to hear from you as well, from our gift, is because we're trying to fit it into a culture that revolves around commodification. The entire system runs on marketing, consumerism. And if our gift, if we're trying to formulate it in a way that's not in deep connection to our being, to our essence, then it's conceptual and the magnetism isn't there. Did everyone hear that? So if it's conceptual, the magnetism isn't there. You've seen this with animals. They sniff. If the attraction isn't there, they move on. It's instinctual. We are all instinctual beings. So what happens when we start to grow up in our culture and socialize is that we start to formulate ourselves and our identity in ways that fit into the culture. Now, this is totally normal. This comes out of a survival mechanism. We're the only species that doesn't fully integrate with nature. So that's where we are. The point is, what the gift process can offer us, and what it's offered for me, is to drop us deep into what I refer to as a foundational principle of our gift. Now, these principles are, as I've said before, are powerful forces that are universal forces. We all have all of them within us, but our gift functions and is ruled through a primary force that sits within us. Now, all of the other principles will organize around and within ourselves in very clear ways. But the key is to have a clear enough container where you're exploring the nature, the essence, and the function of your gift versus trying to formulate it conceptually. The formulation, the forms that we share our gift through, happen through the development. So that formulation will happen through what I refer to as inspiration. It's, like I said, it lives in this beautiful place of where we interact with our bodies, our genetics, our spirit, our being, our nature, and other people in our environment. And so just to pause here for a minute, feel into what I'm saying. Does anyone have any questions or anything that with what I've said so far? Want to just tune in, check in with all of you?
So my question is about being in the gap or the interface between what we've been connecting with essence and also segueing back into the world so that my gifts can come through and I won't be afraid to offer it from a place of authenticness. There's kind of like I'm learning the ropes being back on the mainland. And I can feel my nervous system. It's kind of like I'll come out and then I'll go, ooh, and I'll go back in. So my question is just about navigating that gap so that the inspiration becomes more vivid and creates more safety and security where it's blossoming, so that tendency to be frightened or pulling back or overwhelmed, like you said about the magnetism of the gift, because
Yeah.
I feel like my gift is so it's about really helping people. And I've got to do this through my radiance and through the essence in my presence about that. This is so magnificent, this life that we're getting, that we
Mhm.
have, and being connected with nature and everything. It like makes everything so easy. And it's like going through this invisible membrane.
Mhm.
And a way to do that in which that people, I can encourage them to come forward. So
Mhm.
I'm in this learning stage, right?
Yeah.
Of how to embody that and communicate and have something created from that.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like what you're naming is like first of all, you're clear about where you are, meaning like what's going on right now. And then from there, it feels like you're clear about what your intention is.
Mhm.
And then, so I feel like from there, it's just actually having the space to the actual practice. It comes down to the daily practice,
Mhm.
and having, I think also being in community is really important. This is
Yes.
something that Lori and I talk a lot about, having the community of other like-minded people who are choosing, like you are, to live in your brilliance and in your transmission,
Mhm.
so that you can feel confident in the knowing. Because I think what happens is, our culture can be so demanding, especially if we're on the social cycles,
Mhm.
social media, the news, and it's like there isn't space for our for our gift and for our process. So I think that that's just to name that, is that it feels like having community and having a specific container where you can go through these layers. And so the words that come to mind for me are assimilation.
Mhm.
Feels like you're assimilating a lot. And what I want to say to you about that is, I know your gift knows how to innovate.
Mhm.
And it's all in the assimilation. It's giving yourself enough space to rest into your nervous system, so that this assimilation will become harvesting, and you'll just see yourself responding to things in ways that are so rooted in your nature and in your gift,
And
in your
trusting that is what it
Mhm.
feels like.
Yeah.
That's where
And
I
then,
really go. Mhm.
yeah, and then just to really name this, that the magnetism is so clear when you do that.
Mhm.
What people are drawn to of you, they start pulling out. So it's this feedback loop that happens, and then you can trust it because you can see it in their eyes, and that they want what you have. And at least that's my experience. I mean, yeah, it's an interesting place to be in, after all of these years, to still be rooted in my gift. It's like the relationship, and this, I mean, you're in it too. You're just now in a different environment.
Right. And it feels like the environment, like, I had to get insurance for teaching somatics and qigong at this place. It's very, very conservative. I mean, I'm back in the world where colonialization started, but they're good
Mhm.
people. They're real people, and I don't see them as separate. But it's like, I'm having to play that little thing just to get in there and offer something and see if it takes.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, I'm aware of our time. Does this feel like we did
Yes,
something?
the assimilation and yes, and the harvesting. I got it. Thank you.
Yeah, integration. Yeah, good. Lori, I see your hand is up.
I was wondering if you could talk about what do you mean by living at the effect of your gift?
Yeah. So it's a layered thing. Sometimes what'll happen, I see this when people come to the work, that they will be really at the effect of their life, and they'll have specific patterns that continue to play out, and it's usually in relationship with others. And so oftentimes it'll be like, well, what is your biggest complaint when it comes to your relationship with people? And it'll be like this specific thing. For me, it was that people were coming in and out of my life, and this is before my gift process. I had two things going on: an extreme magnetism, where I was the symbols of myself were not clear. So people would see me like as a sex symbol or this symbol or that symbol. None of it resonated with my essence or my nature, but the magnetism was there. And so I would find that people would come into my life, they would get what they needed, and then they'd go. They weren't emotionally available. They weren't, they had really very little to share with me. And they were actually just needing dialogue with my gift. They needed my presence and the function of my gift to activate them. And so I found that I was at the effect of that a lot, where people were just kind of like using me a lot and projecting on me a lot. And so when I really started to process it, what I realized was that this gift process thing was missing. I was the bringer of it. And so I think we can all see examples, of like where we feel like we're at the effect of our gift. Another is like a sensitivity. Some people will feel like they're at the effect of their sensitivities, like their empath or their clairsentience or the sensitivities that they have to the environment, strong senses internally. These are all strengths. All of our sensitivities in my book can return back to being strengths if we enter the biological process and create a coherent container, a coherent safe space for our sensitivities to become strengths. Again, that's developmental work. Usually, like if we were born in Native American cultures or surrounded by healers or grandmothers, grandfathers, they would recognize the sensitivity and they would bring the child closer to help them develop those sensitivities as strengths. Yeah. Lori, do you have any examples that you can think of?
I mean, I don't know. It just sounds like from what you're saying, sounds like you learned a way to like, it's not so much that your sensitivities or your gift is I don't know, you're like in environments where, okay, yeah, you're going to be around people that are going to be magnetized to you because they feel that they're attracted, right? They have this attraction. But somehow, instead of you feeling sucked dry from them, you are able to be in this place where you feel neutral and you don't take it on, but you can still actually engage. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that that's one of the things, like that's what happens, especially in this phase that we're going to be working with for 3 months, is where like the gift process, the intelligence of our gift, it knows what environment our gift can thrive in. And it will teach us very specifically how to create the right container or context and medium, like book, writing, lecture, whatever, tools, resources. Our gift, I've experienced, knows how all of that and what all of that should be. And oftentimes when we're not listening to that internal intelligence about like what environments we belong in, what environments our gift, our nature, our essence needs to be shared through, and in what ways, we will feel at the effect of that because there'll be this off magnetism or this lack of success. But mostly it's this tension or stress that we feel inside of ourselves. And this is what Suri was just naming, is like her place of where she's like, I know what I'm working with, but I'm in this new environment and I'm not sure if it's the right environment. And I'm trying to figure all of that out so that I can deliver my gift. So what happens a lot of the times is that most of us haven't developed an understanding of what our gift is. And so once we do that, we'll start to go, oh my gosh, I have been at the effect of this. Like this force in my life has been trying to center me and guide me. And it has not been able to because I haven't had the space or the container, the process to be able to do it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
That's good. Yeah. Thank you. That was really good. Okay, good. Any other questions or anything before I take us into our experiential?
So right before you started answering questions, you said something about when our gift is more conceptual versus I didn't quite understand what you said. I actually forget it. And I noticed that for me, like when something goes completely over my head, that's a good sign, like to point to, oh, there's something there for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you remember what you were saying before the questions, but I'd love to hear more about it.
Okay. Yeah. So the conceptual thing is like when you're trying to put your gift in a form that isn't quite it. It's not quite what you're really here to share. So what we do, and this is what we're doing in this series, is we go back and we nourish from what I refer to as the principles or the nature of our gift. And I can give you examples of these principles. One principle that, for example, is our gift can be rooted in is truth. Another would be power. And so these principles, they have very specific attributes, and they are uniquely ruled and flourish and are fueled through universal laws. Now, for someone who, like, this can all sound deeply conceptual as well. The idea is that in our series, like, and in the practice, we go in and we work with these energetics within ourselves, these principles, these forces within ourselves. They come from our center. And within that, they start to nourish us. So it's these tones and qualities of our gift, and it's conditioned purity. So
the impression I'm getting as you're saying that is like that these are different like sifting screens that like we are putting our gift through the truth sifting screen, and like whatever comes through that screen, or like these different principles that you're talking about. And then so there'll be things that make it through all of those screens, and then that's what we like, our essence that we're holding on to.
Yeah, that's so interesting. That's a really interesting way to look at it. It reminds me of just every time that I work with someone, like how important it is that we each honor our own way of doing things. The way that you just said, that's so interesting. Yeah. And like if we take a principle like truth or power, truth will, if it's your primary principle of your gift, it has these qualities to it, like discernment and integrity. And so like when I can give you so many examples of people who are just like, they are all about the truth. They have this like laser beam. When you're around them, you feel like crystallized in discernment. You feel crystallized in that integrity. You just get that around them, and they live their life that way, you know, when they're in the principle of their gift. So what's really interesting about truth, by the way, is that it resolves the confusion or the illusion of separateness. And so what happens in the process, and this is the mystery school, is that you move and breathe and dive with these principles as transmissions, and they come from inside of us. And as they do that, you start to go, this is it. Like, this is my center. And then this one lives here, this one lives there. You start to kind of get an understanding of how it all works in your own system. But the only reason why it's beneficial is if you are feeling confused and in conflict and in concept in your life. And like, I always use people like Justin Bieber as a great example. He is someone who found his gift and connected it so deeply with a talent and passion. And yet he did not know how to resource his gift as he became more and more famous. And he reached total exhaustion. I mean, the poor guy on such deep burnout with a compromised immune system. And it's because he's missing the actual involution of his own gift, as far as I can tell, and working, you know, from what I've seen. I'm not, you know, treating him or anything or diagnosing him or anything, but I see that happen all the time with people.
Hmm.
Yeah. Is that clear so far?
And yeah, that I'm curious in the case of truth, like when that would be a primary element of someone's gift, like how would we give truth to ourselves? Like how would we involute that?
So the first thing that we do is we create the clear container to go in and start diving with the principles. Now, this is what so much of my work has been rooted in this for so long. So, so the purity of them, they live in the field. They live within the biointelligence. So what happens when you start engaging with a principle is that it starts activating within you. It already lives inside of your essence and your nature. So as you're resourcing it, it's as if you're having like a clear taste, almost like if you were to eat a banana, you're like, this is a banana. You get very direct calibration and attunement of it within your own. Yeah. So then within that, it also starts to clear up confusion. Like I was saying, for example, truth resolves the confusion around separateness. Each principle has its own attributes as well as its own application. And so this is what I'm talking about the function versus the form. It's an internal process first. And then that takes it out of concept.
Yeah, that makes sense, because then it's like now that I've had a banana and my body was activated in a certain way, and I'm like, whoa, I really love bananas. And then I know, like, oh, I'm gonna go get a banana. I'm gonna be nourished, or like whatever things resonate in some
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. And another way of saying that also, I love that, is that you can be like, I am a banana. I am a banana tree, and I am going to bear that banana fruit. And I want everybody to taste my bananas. Yeah. So that's what starts to happen. But again, it's like we go into the process and the practice so that it's deeply internal and not conceptual. Like, you know, I mean, everybody knows when, like, my gift is like rooted in love. That's a principle that's, you know, you just can feel it. I'm like, I want everybody to feel love all the time, you know. It's like who I am. Yeah. So,
Right on.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I'm aware of our time. Shall we go into a little mini dive here? Yeah, and then we can do more Q&A after that. I'm just aware of our time. So for those of us who can't, who have to go, and then, you know, at the end of this call in about 15, 20 minutes, you can always just go to the website and contact if you have more questions. And then otherwise, we'll have Q&A after this little mini dive. So what I'm going to guide you to do is just start to find your comfort, like what's comfortable for you, to just close your eyes. And if closing your eyes doesn't work for you, you don't have to. But just turning inward, turning your attention and your awareness inward. So whatever comfortable is for you, if it's lying back, if it's sitting back, but just start to do what you do to turn inward and begin to contact your breath, to really start to feel where your breath is already happening in your body. Just notice if there's anywhere where you're wanting inhale or exhale, and give yourself permission to soften so that your body can take over and that wisdom of your breath can kick in and start breathing you. be a passenger here in this experience for a moment. As you're getting comfortable, feel the earth supporting you and allow your body to feel held by the earth. If you're needing to slough off the day, just wiggle your toes and fingers, give yourself a little stretch or yawn, just to be able to get more comfortable inside of your body. Placing your hands on your core, anywhere on your midline, like your hips or your belly or your chest. Just let your hands start to contact your core. This will also cue a turning inward. Let your hands be feelers of your breath and feelers of your heartbeat and your nervous system. Just pause here into the present as you acknowledge that you're shifting into receiving and discovery versus doing and thinking. Notice where you're, during this sharing of this gift process, notice where your curiosity is and feel if there is a question that you have for your gift. Now, this is an immediate acknowledgement of your gift, your energy, your nature, your being. Just feel if there's a question there that you want to ask your gift. The intelligence of creation, your greatest strength, and your deepest nourishment that lives inside of you. As you ask this question, just allow your favorite senses to become receptive. Now, for those of you who don't have a question, I want to invite you into calling forth your deepest nourishment. This nourishment lives in the center of your being. So, calling forth your deepest nourishment, it may communicate to you initially through ideas, feelings, external nourishment, colors. Just be with it and receive whatever comes and feel the qualities of this nourishment. Allow your breath to become your resource. Nourish from the breath. Bowing into your nature. Receiving the breath, even on the exhale, and feeling your heartbeat, this pulse of life. Feel your energy, your life force coursing through your body. Go deeper into the tones and qualities of this coursing vitality that pulses in your potent body. Allow the throat to soften and give yourself a couple of audible sounds, hums, yums, ahs, just to feel the resonance of your own voice. Trust the impulses in your body to move or be still. calling forth your deepest nourishment. Notice the silence surrounding you right now. The velvety, rich, potent quantum silence. Just a few more hum yums here as you harvest from your nourishment and the answers and insights of dialoguing with your innate force. Taking just a few more moments here, and we're going to just take a moment to transition. As you start to transition, licking your lips, wiggling your toes, see if there's anything that you're wanting to write down or sketch or mark for yourself. Plenty of time, just bridging that distance between the experience you had and your cognitive mind, really integrating it, assimilating it. Marking for yourself the tones, the quality, maybe the shapes and colors, the feelings, the sensations, what happened in your body, in your breath. Just making some markings, some notes, or maybe even just saying it out loud, whatever your natural medium of communication is for yourself. I know for me, a lot of the dialogue that I have with my gift, secondarily, other than the dives, is writing. It's like a feedback loop for me. So just take a few more moments with this. In the series, we create a gift journal so that we can layer the dives, the process. So I am aware of our time. For those of you who need to be somewhere or go somewhere, it's been an hour. And what we'll do here is in a few moments, I'll open this to checking in, as well as just any questions, like a Q&A, as well as just a check-in if there's anything that you want to name for yourself in this dive, this little mini dive. And for those of you who need to go, I'll say goodbye to you now. And we'll just hang out here for those of us who can stay. If you do have something come up that you want to ask questions around or speak to, if there's any experience that you've had that you want some insights around to be able to translate, just raise your hand, go down into the reactions section, and you'll see a little hand gesture that you can put up.
The dive was really nice for me. I feel really, I don't know, like quiet, calm, like I'm really able to listen.
Mm.
And I really am enjoying, well, one of the things that I got from myself when, you asked the question, something to the fact of like, how does nourishment, like, how does it show up for you, or what is it? And it was the word that came forth for me was beauty, which was really kind of surprising, but that makes total sense. And then I just started to have all these moments of these visualizations of beautiful things, but not only like beauty externalized, but like beauty in like conversations or like moments, like rich relationships with people, and just like like thinking about all the forms, how I experience beauty every day. So like that's going to be really great for me as the practice in the morning, to like ask myself that question, like, how do you see, like, how is beauty going to show up for you today? Like,
Mm.
what does it look like? What is it going to taste like? Like, you know, all those nuances. So that was really cool. I love that. And then again, once again, like we talk about just this platform where like all these people that are working this process together and being able to just share their experience and where they're at. It's really wonderful. It's so helpful. And so I really like to continue that, not only for myself, but, you know, for everybody else that, I mean, cause I feel like I see how much it makes an impact for me and helps me like keep doing what I'm doing, like keep doing this practice for myself. It's like encouragement, it's group support, you know?
Support. Yep. Yeah. So you had some insights around that in the dive.
No, it was more afterwards, because after when I came out, I was in just such a calm, sort of like steady place. I didn't feel my mind having like thinking about other things. I was just really present to listen to what people were saying and to really, you know, just hear where they were at. And I was like, I get it, man, because I feel it too.
Yeah. I want to go circle back to what you were saying about beauty. You know, something that I feel like that, and this is kind of my role to say this, so I'm just saying it as, you know, that's my role, is that I feel that when we explore our gift, it will give us like a signature thing to understand about it. And so like we talk about like the function of our gift or the, you know, and all of that, but when you really start to find your inspiration, there's a signature quality to it. And when you said that about beauty, I was like, of course, that's your signature. Like that's your gift. Not only comes through beauty and expresses through beauty, it's also what we experience of your gift. And when we're in the environments and the forms and things that you create, there's a deep understanding and experience of beauty. So it's like a signature, and it's so beautiful that, and you're like, I'm so surprised. I'm like, I'm not.
Yeah, so thank you for that, for you know, like creating this loosely formed structure, but you know, like you said, giving us the permission to go there.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad that it feels supportive.
Mary.
Yeah. All right. Well, are we there? Do we feel like we're there? We're calling it.
Yepers.
So that's that. That's all I got. Thank you again. And I'll talk to you down the road. Aloha.